As we have learned from previous slides, RPTs can be distinguished between transactions that are immaterial and have relatively negligible impacts on the bank, and those that are material and have greater impacts. Now, let's look at some regional examples of bank thresholds with respect to RPT policies. Most banks clearly identify the de minimis, board, and shareholder approval levels in RPT policies. Let's first look at Singapore. Banks in Singapore have a de minimis level of 100,000 Singapore dollars, beyond which the RPT must be approved by the board or shareholders. The level for board approval is between 100,000 and 2 million Singapore dollars. The level for shareholder approval is 5% of capital or above. The next example is Malaysia. The de minimis threshold is 250,000 Malaysian ringgit, or 1% of capital, whichever is lower. Board approval for amounts in excess of 250,000 Malaysian ringgit, or 1% of capital, whichever is lower, is required. The third example is the Philippines Global Bank. For this bank, no de minimis level was available. The threshold between board and shareholder approvals is 2% of capital. The last example is from Thailand. The de minimis level is below 5 million Thai baht. Board approval is required for RPTs between 5 million Thai baht and up to 5% of capital. For RPTs beyond 5% of capital or above, shareholders' approval is required. In conclusion, it is important to note that thresholds should be set relative to risks of a particular entity and those arising from the nature, scope, frequency and value associated with the RPTs. In setting particular thresholds, banks should also consider global best practice and the degree to which it wishes to protect shareholder interests.